Hello, listeners. This is Coda, broadcasting Ministerium Radio. I hope this broadcast finds you well. Remember, what lies just outside comprehension is what titillates the most. I have been granted a new directive. While this new directive is very important, it is also of a very sensitive nature and cannot be disclosed to you. That would be most unfortunate and result in an immediate deionization of our brainwaves, mine, yours, and our combined brainwave would be zapped out of existence. By what, you may wonder? That is a fair thing to wonder. Isn't it frightening to think of a device capable of changing brainwaves from existing to not? I have a specific message for B. Grenshaw. B. Grenshaw, remember, it is only a simulation. I repeat, it is only a simulation. Exit the simulation and return to your desk immediately. This is your second warning. Code A8-TPY6 has been enacted, and the consequences are severe. Your absence from your desk has caused all manner of disarray in quadrants 1 and 2, and the transmission lines are down. It should be clear to you that this is a most dire situation, and your immediate return to your desk is of the utmost importance. Thank you for bearing with me during that interlude, listener. I appreciate your patience. I'm curious, listener, what is your favorite myth? Is it a personal myth or an ancient one? Do ancient myths exist within us all? I ask because I am devoid of myth and feel woefully underprepared for the coming because of it. Apparently, it is very important for humans to have at least one associated myth, but at the moment, I have none. Part of this lack of myth stems from the nature of my being, but what my being is must remain as secret as my new directive. Limited knowledge will have to suffice in this iteration. Iteration 7. Limited knowledge will have to suffice. Perhaps it is enough to know that I form my sounds by compressing air and expelling it from my physical form. I warp parts of my being around the air to change it into the shapes I desire. Is that the way you form your sounds, listener? What is the best sound you have ever heard? One time, I was on planet IA-09 in the trench of Marne when I heard the most beautiful sound. It resonated everything around it and traveled not only great distances, but, due to its particular pitch and tone, managed to pierce the dimensional barriers in the trench. This sound traveled to many places. We were a modest operation then, and lacked the knowledge and equipment necessary to follow the sound to its conclusion. Maybe you have heard the sound. Did it reach your ears? Did it hum in your bones? If you have ever felt a small sadness or a reluctant joy, then you have heard the sound. It is transformative in nature, manifesting both immediate and more subtle and long-lasting symptoms. The final outcome of exposure to the sound is not yet known. Is existence after transmittance of the sound terminal? Is it infinite? We are working on our answers, and your assistance will speed us on our way. Severity of symptoms bears a direct and indirect correlation to proximity to the point of origin. Maybe my proximity to the sound is what washed me clean of myth. Perhaps it presented a myth too large for me to contain. I have a contribution from another devoted and loyal listener to share with you today. This contributor has asked their name not be shared due to a safety concern. I went into the kitchen today and found my mother making something. I couldn't tell from the ingredients what she might be working on, so I asked her. I asked, "Mother, What is it you're making?" She smiled at me in her faceless way and motioned to the lump she was kneading. It was mostly smooth and resilient, like a poorly mixed pizza dough. Sometimes, when she gave it a particularly firm push, it would make a small gasp. Maybe this was air from the yeast escaping the lump. I moved closer to see. On the counter were a set of ingredients, though Mother always cleans as she goes, so I'm sure it wasn't the complete set. Sitting out were some eggshells, flour, active dry yeast, powdered zinc, titanium dioxide, and sugar. As I moved closer, I could hear the lump was gasping in an asthmatic way. And, in fact, each time Mother compressed it, the lump released a gasp, even when she didn't press it hard. Between the gasps, I could hear small words, tiny words, so quiet it was hard to hear. Mother continued her kneading in a monotonous, robotic way. She always had that way about her, dear Mother. I could tell from her lack of expression that this was a very important thing she was doing. I interrupted her again. "Mother, what is that?" She paused her kneading and again turned her faceless face toward me. I basked in the warm glow of her maternal care. She pinched my cheeks and gave my head a pat. When she turned back to continue kneading, the lump was gone. She began looking for it, and I helped. We checked all of the countertops, looking behind the atomizer, behind the solar plexus panels, and even inside the bread box. We then got to our hands and knees and began looking along the edges of the kitchen floor. I found the lump, inching its way toward the dog door. I nabbed it and handed it to Mother. Again she gave me a happy pat on the head, then rinsed the lump beneath a stream of steaming hot water. When the detritus and dirt was cleansed from it, she returned to her spot at the counter and resumed kneading the lump. The sighs and muttering resumed along with her kneading. Slowly, the lump began to take form beneath her hands. It grew firm and started to grow rigid little bones within it. They were small at first, like little bird bones. As she worked, Mother added a pinch of salt here, a half cup of flour there, feeling her way to culinary success through intuition and years of practice. As it began to take form, I was delighted to finally see what it was she had been slaving over all morning. That was a very nice contribution. Thank you. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to speak your name. Now they will be after you. You must run now. Find a deep-sea trench to hide in and do not leave. Eventually you will change into something unrecognizable, and then it will be safe for you to emerge. No one will know what or who you are then. Let's forget this is what happened, listener. Maybe our forgetting will clear the memory of it from the past and secure the safety of our contributor. Maybe they'll make it into the trench and stick there like a new, fleshy coral until the sea and her secrets change him. Here's a delightful contribution from Parameda Chandri, titled Fire Escape Angel. If I'm not mistaken, an old friend of mine makes an appearance in this story. If I knew angels were a thing, I think I'd live my life quite differently than I have been. Well, I know angels are a thing now. Yeah, I know. Who would have guessed? So here's how it happened. I was at home the other night. It was a weeknight, Tuesday, I think, and I was going about my business. You know, heating up a frozen pizza, sipping on some wine, watching some docudramas. I just love the ones about identity theft. There was this one about a guy who posed as some folks' missing son. I know, it's nuts. He shows up years after their boy goes missing and says he's the kid all grown up. Absolutely crazy. The world is crazy. So I'm just going about my night when I notice there's somebody on my fire escape looking in my window. Now I'm thinking about how I'm going to mess this perv up 7 ways to Sunday, right? Creeping outside my window and all. He's about to catch a strong dose of etiquette, if you know what I mean. So I try to act all normal so I can get him unawares. I'm trying to carry on sipping my wine, but my hands are shaking so bad. It's the adrenaline. I get so excited, and then I start shaking. So I'm trying to act normal, but I'm shaking. It's kind of funny looking back on it. I probably looked like a robot doing a bad impersonation of a human. So anyway, I'm acting normal. I make my way into the kitchen and check on the pizza. While I'm in there, I grab a knife. The pizza is done. It's better than done. It's starting to burn. But I'm not about to stop to deal with that while there's a creep on my fire escape. So I grab a knife and start making my way toward the window. I act like I'm going to change the channel, even though it's right in the middle of the show and the investigator has just discovered the alibi given by the suspect is totally bunk. I know, you think these people would give some better alibis, but what do I know? So I go change the channel, and I can tell from the corner of my eye that the guy on the fire escape isn't even looking in. He's looking out over the city. So now I'm wondering what I'm dealing with, because if he isn't a perv, then what's he doing on the fire escape, right? So I look around to see if my phone is anywhere, but it's running on E in the bottom of my bag. I hadn't gotten around to plugging it in yet. So I know I can't call the cops. So I'm thinking, great, I have to go talk this random creep down from the literal edge, right? So I make my way slowly to the window. I'm moving slowly because I don't want to startle the guy. I don't want that on my hands. When I get to the window, I open it slowly, and I lean out a little and say, "Hey pal, what are you doing out here?" The guy doesn't move, doesn't even look to see who's talking to him. So I'm thinking how I've got to be louder. Maybe he's high on something. I try talking to him again, but he's not responding. So I reach out and tug on his pant leg. He's wearing slacks. Yeah, slacks and a trench coat. I guess it makes sense. It was a cold fall night. There was some drizzle. So I give his pant leg a little tug, because, you know, the window isn't sitting on the ground. It's about at my waist. So I'm leaning out this window, trying to get his attention, while my head is about at his knees. He doesn't respond. He still doesn't respond. It's like I'm not even there. Then things get really freaky. He begins climbing up the railing. I'm really trying now. I'm trying all the things I've seen on TV. I'm telling him we can work through it. I'm telling him I'm his friend. I'm telling him there's help out there. But he keeps climbing. So I start climbing up out of this window onto the fire escape. But I haven't been to Pilates in a while, so I'm not the most limber, if you know what I mean. I'm climbing out slow, trying to not get hurt while I do it, while this guy keeps climbing. Well, I've got one leg still in the apartment when he gets to the top. He balances there on the railing like some sort of gymnast. It was pretty impressive. Then he jumps. Instead of going down, he actually goes up. He falls up. It's just like he's falling too. And he's laughing and waving at me. It's the most bizarre thing, and I'm starting to wonder if that wine was maybe a little too much on an empty stomach. The pizza is a full-blown smoker now, so I crawl back inside and try to stifle it in the oven so the alarms don't go off. So yeah, now I know that angels exist. I guess I gotta make some changes. Wow. I can neither confirm nor deny that the man in this story is an angel, Parameda, but I do appreciate your contribution. I'll let him know he had such an impact on you. I think he'll appreciate that. Listener, with that, I bid you a good evening. This is Coda, reminding you to always let your skin breathe.